Hi, this is Peter Wooding and welcome to this week's Christian Weekly News. Coming up in this week's programme, we look at the implications since the passing of the same-sex marriage bill. We look at the impact it could have on our children in schools as we speak to a group called Christian Parent Talk, and also the impact on those trying to come out of the homosexual lifestyle as we speak to Mike Davidson from Core Issues Trust. One of the latest cases here at the Christian Legal Centre during the same-sex marriage debate has been that of Mike Davidson's banned poster. Despite Stonewall advertising over 1,000 posters on buses in London, his was banned. This is the latest on his story.
In April 2012, we ran an advert on the side of 25 buses, not gay, ex-gay, post-gay and proud, get over it, which really wasn't an advertisement in the sense that we were hoping to advertise what we do, but more an opportunity to stand for something very different to what Stonewall was standing for. And so that was really the reason why we went ahead with that. Stonewall had put its advertisement on 1,000 buses in central London at a time that really was peak in terms of what was happening in the country. It was just before the Olympics. We had the resources to be able to run advertisements on 25 buses, but ours were pulled. We feel unfairly. We feel that there needs to be an even-handedness and an openness in terms of these expressions that people put on the sides of buses. We went to court about it. We had a judicial review, which I think was in February 2013, if I remember correctly. And we had a 2-day hearing about those events. And in the end, the judge awarded costs against us, and actually specifically against me and Core Issues Trust. But also, interestingly, allowed that we should have the opportunity to appeal the case. And that's now what is about to happen. A date has been set. I think it's the 9th and 10th of December 2013, when we will go back to appeal against that decision. We feel that the amount of money that we are being asked to pay, number one, is extortionate. And number two, we think the basis of the case was unfair, particularly as some of the information that was held up as truth by the other side appears not to have been true at all. It is of concern that only one side of the debate, so to speak, is allowed to be heard on the streets of London. Why is it that only a pro-gay point of view can be expounded freely? Anybody who comes with an alternative view is seemingly immediately shut down. I don't think this augurs very well in terms of the level of freedom that we have in the country at the moment in terms of debate. I think many people want to say there is no debate. It's unquestionably true that homosexuality is the 100% parallel of heterosexuality. It's just another type of loving or another type of being together. We would question that. We don't believe that the scientific literature teaches us that homosexuality is inborn. Neither does it say that in all cases that it's unchangeable. It is changeable. But it doesn't seem to me to be a very mature society that will only have a one-sided debate. It's kind of like talking to yourself, I would say. Surely we need to debate so that we can have a good understanding of different arguments and different perspectives. I think also things change over time, and that's another reason why it's always important to have some kind of opposing view, some kind of contrary view. It must sharpen anybody's perspective. So to have only one point of view, particularly when the scientific literature is being ignored, even by the professional mental health bodies today, I think that's a problem. Well, I hope that we will have an opportunity once again to show that it would be unfair for a public body such as Transport for London to act in a political way. Surely a public body needs to pay attention to the voices and concerns of different positions in society. And therefore, if any one side is shut down, I think that's a problem. How is it that we can have buses that say God is probably dead, therefore get on and have a happy life? Why can we have buses that say some people are gay, get over it, but we cannot express the contrary view that some people are ex-gay, some people have found freedom from homosexuality, and that's the way they choose to describe it. I think we really do need to be even-handed in the way we do things. The Christian Legal Centre, as always, have been professional and very supportive. I know it's not necessarily a popular case at all. I think we have to get it into perspective. Some people might say, why not spend the money on something that would be more useful in society? I want to argue that the closing down of freedom of speech and the normalization of homosexuality in society today ultimately is going to cost society in the long run a huge amount. So I think what we have to spend in defending this particular right is small in comparison with the cost of the direction that we have chosen to go in. I think we do have to be wise in terms of the contexts in which we want to stand up. We certainly need to be led of the Lord, but we are fundamentally fighting for the right to be able to express our minds in the public sphere. That's what we're standing up for, and that's what we need to continue to try to do.
Wonderful to hear from Mike Davison share from his heart about how we're seeking to help those dealing with same-sex attraction. Now, another implication of the same-sex marriage bill is what could be taught in our schools. We caught up with a group called Christian Parent Talk, who's seeking to protect children from liberal sex education and the harms of pornography.
Well, my name is James Wiltshire. I'm an ex-head teacher. And so when I heard some of the difficulties that children are under these days in schools in terms of what they're taught in sex education lessons, I thought, well, that's a little bit different to the way it was in my day. I ought to look into this.
My name's Cathy Hearn. I was married 45 years. I have 2 married daughters and 6 grandchildren. And we brought our children up in New Zealand, where we learned firsthand about sex education in the schools, and we fought it. And so we were able to protect our children, and now our grandchildren are also protected. So that was my first work back in the UK, was with the group that we set up, Christian Parent Talk. The purpose of that group is to make presentations on what's happening in sex lessons to children, to parents and to churches, and try and raise awareness so that parents can reclaim their authority, which sadly has been taken away by very aggressive groups that come into schools now.
Well, we have an identity within the location where we live. That's on the south coast of Britain, and from that headquarters we are prepared to offer a service to people, particularly parents who are quite concerned about the kind of sex education that's being given in schools. So we're prepared to talk to audiences, and we don't mind how small those audiences are. Now, the other part of our work is that we are the joint chairpersons of the Lords and Commons Working Party in sex education in schools. So in that capacity, we talk to people in both the upper house and the lower house, and we're prepared to give briefings, and we do in fact give briefings to them and answer any questions that they may have.